Hello, hello! Due to my ugliness, I will be updating you from behind the camera. Hey! Just kidding. I'm gonna be in front of the camera. Being behind the camera is way too awkward. And I don't know. Like, I'm just gonna be here effortlessly talking about stuff. Hi! I have my iPad, well, not my iPad, my mom's iPad in front of me. Not because there's any script or any outline for this video, but because my mom told me that for my birthday, which is at the end of the month, she would get me some new trimmings, stuff for my room. So that would include like a new bed sheet, a new tapestry. If you may or may not know, my original tapestry that I had, which is like the woods in the sunset, I put it behind the weird doors that lead to nowhere in my room. For the time being, I'm gonna get a new one. And for that, I know exactly what I want. I want to get a white brick wall tapestry because it's been a life dream of mine to be in a loft space. And I always tried to decorate my room in that way. Like, I never wanted a real bed. I always wanted a futon that like stayed in the couch position all the time. And my room would just look like a cool den. But sleeping on the couch is terrible for your back, so that had to change. Dream big. I'm gonna get the brick wall tapestry. But for my sheet, I have no idea what I want to do. I plan to put this up tonight. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. I'm supposed to choose by tonight, so give me your suggestions fast. Like color, I don't know if you can see, I can't see there. Like color, theme. I was thinking like red sheets for a little while, like try and recreate Van Gogh's bedroom, which is my favorite painting of his actually, is the bedroom, just because the colors are so cool. With the white pillows and the red sheets and the light blue walls. And he has something like lime green. I think it's his paintings there. No, there's a green chair in it. Yeah, something like that. But the colors in it are so cool. And the wood floors that I used to have too. R.I.P. wood floors. So anyway, yeah, let's get to the point of why I felt like I wanted to make an update video. I didn't make any videos last week. I was in a horrible mental state, emotional state. And I want to be honest about that. I want to communicate with that. I feel like I communicate so much of my truth with my YouTube community, and I didn't just want to be like silent on it. So I recently started taking antidepressants, recommended by my doctor, because I really just wanted something that was going to help me with my fatigue. I was like, I've been dealing with depression for 14 years, I guess, and I've never done medication. I've pretty much like battled it on my own. My concern is just my physical fatigue, because on the days that I have low pain levels, I want to be able to like get around the house a bit, interact with people in the house, do some stuff. I want to have the energy to do things when I, have little enough pain to be doing things. My doctor's recommendation was antidepressants, and so the fact, I guess, that I was maybe getting accustomed to them, as well as the massacre of disabled people in Japan, really, like, that just happened at the same time, and I went down a really dark hole. The mass silence of the world, to like, I don't know, it just, I don't want to spend too long on it, but I just want to clarify that my feelings were very dark for a couple of reasons, and it's just like the comparisons. Like in one summer, we had the largest mass shooting in the US, which was at Pulse, which was a place that was close to me. And it was a hate crime towards the LGBT community, which is a community that I am in. That hurt a lot, and I made videos about that. I'll probably link to the first video in the eye. I made 4 videos of like trying to navigate my feelings and thoughts on that. Then to kind of end my summer with the largest massacre in Japan since World War II. And it was a hate crime to the disabled community. And the difference was, with Pulse, the entire world showed up in support of the LGBT community. I mean, obviously not everyone. There's obviously still homophobia and transphobia. But in very large ways, people showed their support. And I was very grateful for that as a person that identified within that community. However, that didn't happen after this. And the disabled community kind of had to fend for themselves emotionally. And this was a lot to take, especially because, again, I'll reiterate that disability activism often takes the back seat to everything else. And I feel still so, like, society is still so behind on that, like in the most minor ways. In the same way racism, sexism has like its most extreme. People who wish people of certain races were extinct from the world. People who wish that women were extinct from the world and want nothing but violence towards them and to end them. To the, like, bottom of the pyramid where, you know, it's just about stereotypes and jokes and disrespect that, you know, eventually kind of reinforces the most extreme one when you have it as a normative part of society. But I'll get into that later. I guess, like, what's coming up eventually will be, like, a whole video on, like, ableism and internalized ableism and intra-community ableism. It's just a lot. That and feeling incredibly invisible. Invisible because I'm mostly bedbound and homebound. There are days where I'm in so much pain I can't leave my bed. And for the most part, you know, if pain levels are like relatively low, I can walk around my house a little bit. But it's like I'm on a leash or on a timer. It's extremely limited what I can do. So I feel invisible because I feel like I'm, you know, Rapunzel in the tower. Like, no one knows I'm in here. And I feel invisible in the medical industry because I've been trying for 2.5 years to get a diagnosis, and after the first half of that being filled with gaslighting and doctors not really knowing what to look for and kind of dismissing me and just trying to like hand me off to somebody else all the time, I finally found some doctors who I gave them my symptoms and they're like, you could obviously have these things. Okay, so let's get started with the testing. But the testing takes, you know, I take the test and it's a blood test and it's so intricate that the test will take about 6 months for me to get results. So now it's just a long waiting period. But it often feels like, you know, I suffer in pain and there's nothing doctors can do and there's nothing my family can do. So I feel very isolated in that pain and in that illness. Then I feel invisible as my identity and the multiple identities that I live in. Like, obviously, media representation plays a big part of that. But like I said, even in activist communities, I feel invisible there. And then when the massacre happened and I felt like no one cared, that was it. Ultimately, it hit this emotional space where basically my thought process went, nobody cares that they died. In fact, there are people who are calling it a mercy killing. And it just felt like nobody would care if I disappeared either. I don't know why that bothered me so much, but again, because once you're dead, there's no coming back from that, so you're not going to care if nobody cares that you're dead or not. But it hit me really hard, and basically I sank into my bed all week. Yeah, that's pretty much what I did. And I still dabbled in some social media. By the way, social media, right. If I ever disappear from YouTube like that, you should know that you can check on me in other spaces, like Facebook and Twitter. Not usually Instagram anymore. Twitter is where I'm hanging out recently. I like it. I like Twitter. Tumblr too. Twitter is where I've been on it on a daily basis for sure. Other social medias I left alone, especially because people were getting like so weird, and I really hated people making excuses like, oh, we're not getting that news because it's in Japan. Like, we've hashtag prayed for Japan before. Like, just be accountable, man. Like, it was the largest massacre that they've had since World War II. I'm not gonna get into this. I'm not gonna get into it. But basically, in my opinion, responses should have just been, wow, you're right, I haven't heard about it, and your feelings are valid, and ableism needs to be a conversation, because we, like, never have it. And the silence reinforces that people think that disability is the worst thing that can happen to you. They think that they can compare disability to a consequence to your actions at the end of a PSA. That the non-disabled people feel like the first thing they would do when they become disabled is consider suicide because life is not worth living if you have a disability. Like, okay, Annie, you said you weren't gonna get into it. Stop. Like I said, I will definitely journal about it and try and like discuss it way more eloquently than I'm doing now in the future. All that was very upsetting, put me in a very dark state all week, and I finally started to feel better around Friday, Saturday. Today I'm feeling a lot better today. I'm noticing that in the past 2 days, like, I've been a lot calmer, and in places where I would instantly react really aggressively, I kind of like stop myself, like, you don't have to get so aggressive. You ask a question first. Like, it's just my mental state has improved a lot. So I'm really happy about that, and hopefully the medication has something to do with that. So the real reason I wanted to make this video is because unfortunately I'm probably not going to be able to make videos next week either, which I feel horrible about. I feel horrible that I got sick and missed out on a whole week, and I feel horrible that I might not have anything up next week either. But next week won't be because I'm sick, but because I'll be out of town on vacation with my family. Yay! We're doing end of summer family vacation thing. My mom's taking us to Disney, yay! So yeah, I just basically wanted to tell you that. That just update you on last week, which I know I spent the majority of this video doing. And tell you that I will be out of town next week, spending time with my family, and that's probably why I'm not going to be uploading next week. Also, as I said before, I'm trying to finish off any bottles of dye I have before I cut all of it off. And I have pink and orange, and I looked up what happens when you put pink on blue hair. Turns out it becomes purple. That's cool. And I looked up what happens when you put orange on blue, and there were no answers. I would be really scared to attempt that because I feel like orange and blue make brownish. And I don't want that. So I have a feeling that this video is kind of long. I hope that that makes up for the fact that I haven't been around and that I won't be really around next week. But hopefully, maybe, I will be active on Instagram and Snapchat. That's a lie. I don't do Snapchat very well. I'll try. That's the best I can do. And hopefully that means that I'll have some, like, Disney videos to put together when I come back. I'm horrible at that too. I'm really bad at vlogging. Like, daily life stuff. I've never been good at that. But again, I'll try. That's the best I can do. I think that's all I wanted to say. Remember that I'm taking suggestions as to what my new bed situation should be like. And I'd love for you to update me on your stuff. Let me know what I've missed out on in the week that I've gone. And I will see you eventually. Bye!